Good day. Uh, Thanks for joining me. My name's Nichols. Welcome to my channel. Now, today I'm just going to talk about the ideas of the complexity of human negotiation, the complexity of how humans interact with each other. Now, I think you can go through looking at the world as it is and seeing there's a lot of conflict across social media, and there's a lot of conflict generally among groups of people. And it's sort of this low-level conflict. And what I basically think about that is, look, it's perfectly reasonable to want everybody to be treated fairly. It's perfectly reasonable to want an equal world. But the truth is that in some sense that's still a little bit of a distraction. Your primacy, your aim is simply achievement, is to achieve the greatness that lies within you. And the problem is that by its nature, human conflict is somewhat corrosive, and there's never any sort of simple solution. What you realize is that most human conflict can't be truly resolved at a deeper level, and no one's truly right in a lot of cases, and it's a very messy endeavor. So it's not that you shouldn't learn how to engage in human conflict in ways to make a better world, but we shouldn't be focused on that side of things. The primacy should be collaboration with people who are like-minded and are trying to support each other. And basically, look, our human conflict is an inevitable part of life. And what I would say, if you're in situations where you can see groups or people that you're in conflict with, is do your absolute best to step back from the conflict and see, obviously, your perspective from theirs. Try and understand what they're thinking, but also try and detach yourself from the entire process, as in see yourself objectively and see the person you're in conflict with objectively. Now, if you do that, you're likely to grow and learn more about the situation, and that's likely to help you in the long term. The other thing is really, look, if someone acting in a way you don't think is correct, that's really on them. You can be there and you can correct and you can guide or whatever as much as you want, but that's their life and that's their zone of influence and that's their zone of negativity, and you just don't want to be there for long periods of time. You want to be in situations where you're advancing yourself, you're increasing your abilities in this world, you're improving your mind, improving your body, and working with like-minded people. It's absolutely imperative that that's your zone of operation, and that your sort of collision with people or institutions which don't share those views, who might be discriminating against you, who might be not sharing your values, is really important. And even if it's something like even if it's your workplace or or someone quite closely, like a family member, it's even if that's a significant part of your life, it can't be where the focus is. In the end, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to the world to follow your path, and your path has to always be shining the light of self-motivation, self-improvement, of being the best version of yourself, because that's the primacy of everything, the fact that every person must follow that path to be the best version of themselves. And the other thing is, when you start delving into it, the people that you might engage in conflict with, the people you might have negative feelings towards, you begin to realize that most people simply want best things for the world, but many people are mistaken about how to get that. They'll have different values. There's very few actual enemies in the world. Most people are just like you, but they're deeply flawed and sometimes deeply mistaken. And again, it's much, much better to go about being the best version of yourself, just focusing on self-improvement, trying to make everybody's life better. And then it can just, in that context, make really good personal connections. And in that context, you have the most ability to kind of resolve those more superficial kind of ideological or political differences. The problem with life, I think, is really that there's a lot of dead ends. There's a lot of ways of getting trapped in very negative states of mind, and getting too involved in conflict, in especially political conflict or interpersonal conflict of various kinds, is a cycle of negativity. It doesn't really work, because at the end of the day, you have to attribute negativity towards that person, but you know deep in your heart that most people really aren't that negative, so you end up generating a negative frame of mind in order to engage in that kind of social conflict. So it's better to not do that. It's better to just focus on self-improvement, achieving your goals, becoming the best version of yourself, and then incidentally, somewhat, as a corollary to that, or an accessory to that, you make a better world by leading by example, and then exerting force in institutions and other people by leading by example. All right, well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.